So, good day everyone. So, for today's discussion is all about inverse Laplace transform. So, basically is inverse lang siya sa atong previous discussion. So, inverse Laplace transform is transformation of a function from S domain to T domain. So, why inverse man kay? Previously, ang Laplace transform is the transformation of from T domain to S domain. Now, inverse Laplace is from S domain to T domain asad. Quick review lang sa ato ang previous discussion. So, the Laplace transform of t raised to the power of n is just equals sa n factorial over s raised to the power of n plus 1. Then, the Laplace transform of any constant is just equals sa the constant itself over s. Then, the Laplace transform of e raised to the power of gamma t is just equals sa 1 over s minus gamma. So, gamma is just any constant lang yapon. Then, the Laplace transform of cosine beta t is just equals sa s over s squared plus beta squared, which is beta is just any constant. Then, the Laplace transform of sine beta t is just equals to beta squared over s squared plus beta squared, which is beta is just any constant. So, proceed to So, ako lang i-discuss. So, from T domain, muna siya, T domain, T raised to the power of n, C, E raised to the power of gamma T. Atong ginasolve previously, ginasolve na to ang ihang S domain, muna n prime over n factorial over s raised to the power of n plus 1, C over s, 1 over s minus gamma. So, now, naatay S domain, which is kani n factorial over s raised to the power of n plus 1, ato siyang ibalik sa t raised to the power of n, c, e raised to the power of gamma t na function. So, for example, this one. The inverse Laplace of 2 raised to the power of s raised to the power of 6 is, to solve this equation, we can always factor out the constant. So, 2, the inverse Laplace of 1 over 6 s6, 1 over s raised to the power of 6. So, we all know nga the Laplace transform of t raised to the power of n is equal sa n factorial over s raised to the power of n plus 1. So, in this equation, 1 over s raised to the power of 6, manotice na to 6 is just equal sa n plus 1. So, we need to find the value of n. N is just 6 minus 1. So, n is equals to 5. So, so basically, n factorial is just equals to 5 factorial. So, 2 multiplied by 5 factorial over 5 factorial so 5 factorial over 5 factorial is just equals sa 1. So, the inverse Laplace of 1 over s raised to the power of 6. So, we can rewrite this as 2 over 5 factorial, then the inverse Laplace of 5 factorial over s raised to the power of 6. So, we all know na kaning equation the inverse Laplace of this equation is just equals sa t raised to the power of n, which is n is 5. So, to solve this, two over 5 factorial is just equals sa 120 times the inverse Laplace of this function is t raised to the power of 5. So, we can also simplify pa natin yung equation by may mo na lang siyang 1 over 60 t raised to the power of 5, or we can write this as t raised to the power of 5 over 60. So, the inverse Laplace of 2 over s raised to the power of 6 is just equals sa t raised to the power of 5 over 60. So, next example. Number 2. Find the inverse Laplace of 6 over s minus 1 over s minus 8. Sorry. Plus 4 over s minus 3. So, to solve this equation, we can always write this as, pwede natin sila ma-separate. So, inverse Laplace of 6 over s minus inverse Laplace of 1 over s minus 8, then plus the inverse Laplace of 4 over s minus 3. So, to write this one, pwede na to ipagawas ang constant. So, 6 Laplace, inverse Laplace of 1 over s minus inverse Laplace of 1 over s minus 8 plus 4 times the inverse Laplace of 1 over s minus 3. So, we all know nga Laplace transform of a constant is equal sa c over s. Then, the Laplace transform of e raised to the power of gamma times t is just equals sa 1 over s minus gamma. So, which is same sila. So, the constant here is 1. So, 6. The inverse Laplace of 1 over s is just the constant itself. Muna siya, constant itself. So, which is 1. So, 6 times 1 so, the inverse Laplace of 1 over s minus 8 is just equals to e raised to the power of lambda t, which is lambda is the 8. So, e raised to the power of 8 8t. Then plus 4 times inverse Laplace of 1 over s minus 3, which is e 3t. E 3t. So this is the so we can write it as 6 minus e raised to the power of 8t plus 4 e raised to the power of 3t. So the inverse transform of 6 over s minus 1 over s minus 8 plus 4 over s minus 3 is this 6 minus e raised to the power of 8t plus 4e raised to the power of 3t. So we can conclude by that the inverse transform of the n factorial over s raised to the power of n plus 1 is just equals t raised to the power of n, and the inverse transform of c over s is just equals to c. Then the inverse transform of the inverse transform of 1 over s minus lambda is just a constant is equals to e raised to the power of lambda times t. So mubalik lang yun ka sa t domain na function. So next example is find the inverse transform of 6s over s squared plus 25 plus 3 over s squared plus 25. So, to solve this equation is pagawas na to ang constant, which is 6. Then, the inverse transform of s over s squared plus 25 plus factor out, pagawas na to si 3, the constant, then inverse Laplace of 1 over s squared plus 25. So we all know that the Laplace transform, of cosine beta, kaysa ako ang agi, is s over s squared is equals niya plus beta squared, which is beta squared in this case is 25. Then we all know that the Laplace transform of sine beta t is equals to beta squared over s squared beta squared over s squared plus beta squared. So from this going to this, so 6 times the inverse transform of s plus s squared plus 25, which is or beta. So square root of 25 is 5, so beta is equals to 5. So we can write this as, which is same ani na equation. So we can write this as cosine 5t. Tama? Since beta squared man ni siya, so naka-squared naman ni si 25. So we need to find square root of 25, which is 5, which is muna tong beta. Then next is plus 3. Then in this case, ang ato ang beta is 5 Japon. But we need to find, so we need to multiply it as, so we can multiply this as 5 squared, which is beta squared, over beta 5 squared. So 5 squared over 5 squared is just equals to 1. Then the inverse transform, the inverse Laplace of 1 over s squared plus 25. So para maka-come up tag inyani nga equation is next. Previously 6, so 6 cosine 5t plus 3 over 5 squared. Then, to come up as same as the equation with the sign is, can rewrite this as 5 squared over s squared plus 25. So, 5 squared is just equals sa 25 over s squared plus 25. So, nakakame up na taog kanina equation. So, we can rewrite the inverse transform of b squared over s squared plus b squared is just equals sa sine bt, which is r beta is square root of 25, which is 5. So, 6 cosine 5t plus 3 over 25 sine 5t. So, this is the Laplace inverse Laplace of the given equation. So, we can conclude that the inverse Laplace of s over s squared plus beta squared is just equals sa cosine beta b. Then the inverse Laplace of beta squared plus s squared over s squared plus beta squared is just equals to sine beta b. So next. So now for your assignment, find the inverse Laplace of the following. So number 1, find the inverse Laplace of 5 over s cubed. Number 2, find the inverse Laplace of 3 over s squared minus 3 over s minus 5. Then number 3 is find the inverse Laplace of 2 over s minus 3 minus 4 over s cubed plus 4 over s minus 6. Then for number 4, find the inverse, find the inverse Laplace of 7s over s squared plus 49 plus 7 over s. Lastly, number 5, find the inverse Laplace of 3 over s squared plus 81 plus 2 over s minus 4. So I think that's it for today, and just submit your assignment. So thank you everyone, and have a great day and stay safe.